गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन। यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन। यमुनातीरावनचारी। यमुनातीरावनचारी। जय राधमाधवा कुंज विहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन। यमुनातीरावनचारी। यमुनातीरावनचारी। जय राधमाधवा कुंज विहारी। जय राधमाधवा कुंज विहारी। जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम। कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम। जय गौरानिताय जय गौरनिताय। गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 प्रभुपाद। जामिष्णपाद परमंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की। जामिष्णपाद परमंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्भागवतम की जय। श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की जय। श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 21, Text number 24. Na vai jato mrisha eva syat. Na vai jato mrisha eva syat. Na vai jato mrisha eva syat. Praja Adhyaksha Mat Arhanam Prajadhyaksha Madarhanam Prajadhyaksha Madarhanam Bhavad Videshu Atitaram Bhavad Videshu Atitaram Bhavad Videshu Atitaram Mayi Sangrabhita Atmanam Mayi Sangrabhita Atmanam Mayi Sangrabhita Atmanam Navai Jato Mrishaiva Syat Prajadhyaksha Madarhanam Bhavad Videshu Atitaram Mayi Sangrapitatmanam Navai Jato Mrishaiva Syat Prajadhyaksha Madarhanam Bhavad Videshu Atitaram Mayi Sangrapitatmanam. Na, not. Vai, indeed. Jato, ever. Mrisha, useless. Eva, only. Syat, it may be. Praja, of the living entities. Adhyaksha, O leader. Mat arhanam, worship of me. Bhavat videshu, unto persons like you. Atitaram, entirely. Mai, on me. Sangrabhita, affixed. Atmanam, of those whose minds. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The Lord continued, my dear Rishi, O leader of the living entities, for those who serve me in devotion by worshipping me, especially persons like you who have given up everything unto me, there is never any question of frustration. Kindly repeat. The Lord continued, my dear Rishi, O leader of the living entities, for those who serve me in devotion by worshipping me, especially persons like you who have given up everything unto me, there is never any question of frustration. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Even if he has some desires, one engaged in the service of the Lord is never frustrated. Those engaged in his service are called Sakama and Akama. Those who approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead with desires for material enjoyment are called Sakama, and those devotees who have no material desires for sense gratification but serve the Supreme Lord out of spontaneous love for Him are called Akama. Sakama devotees are divided into 4 classes: those in distress, those in need of money, the inquisitive, and the wise. Someone worships the Supreme Lord because of bodily or mental distress. Someone else worships the Supreme Lord because he is in need of money. Someone else worships the Lord out of inquisitiveness to know Him as He is. And someone wants to know the Lord as a philosopher can know Him by the research work of his wisdom. There is no frustration for any of these 4 classes of men. Each is endowed with the desired result of his worship. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam. Lord Vishnu is continuing to speak. The Lord, having informed Kardama Muni in the previous verse that knowing the desire of Kardama Muni, even before Kardama Muni asked Vishnu for the satisfaction of his desire, Vishnu had already sensed his desire and he had already made arrangements to fulfill that desire of Kardama Muni. Further, Vishnu is saying, Prajadyaksha, he is referring to Kardama Muni as the leader amongst all the living entities. So he is saying, O leader of the living entities, Prajadyaksha, Bhavad Videshu, people like you who are Atitaram Sangrabita Mai Atmanam, those who are people like you who are completely, entirely surrendered to me and who have given up everything else for me, having renounced everything else for my sake. Madarhanam, your worship, the worship of such personalities like you, who have given up everything else and who are completely surrendered unto me. Navai Jatu Mrisha Syat. For such people like you, your desires can never be frustrated. In other words, the Lord is informing, Vishnu is informing Kardama Muni that any devotee who worships Krishna, giving up everything else, renouncing everything else, and being completely surrendered unto Krishna, Krishna is always looking forward to fulfilling any desire that such devotees may have. Although generally devotees do not want anything, they do not want anything to do with economic development, sense gratification, residence in the heavenly planets, post of Indra, post of Brahma, even liberation. The living entities, the devotees of Krishna are not interested. Salokya sarshti samipya Salokya sarshti samipya aikyatvam diyamanamapi na grinnanti matsevanam vina janaha. Even if they are offered liberation, the five kinds of liberation, Salokya, Sarshti, Samipya, Sarupya and Aikyatva or Sayujya. Any of the five types of liberation, even if Diyamanamapi, even if it is offered to them, Nagrinnanti, the devotees are not interested. If Vinamadarhanam, if it is devoid of service to Krishna. The devotees of Krishna are so attached to serving him that even liberation becomes secondary to them. They are not interested in it. Although the devotees are uninterested in all these things, the Supreme Lord, however, is very keen to liberate his devotees. And therefore, although the devotees do not have any desires, by chance, if they desire something, Krishna will immediately fulfill it. That is why Krishna is saying here that there is never any question of frustration in the desires of such devotees. There are many examples of such devotees, whether it is Dhruva Maharaj, whether it is Gajendra, whether it is Shukadeva Goswami or the Sanat Kumaras, or it is the Rishis who had assembled in Naimisharanya. All of them started off with some desire. All their desires were fulfilled. Although eventually every one of them forgot their desires. They did not want to maintain those desires for which they approached Vishnu. Whether it was Dhruva Maharaj, by the time he had darshan of Vishnu, he had forgotten his desire to possess a huge kingdom. But still, the Lord fulfilled his desire. So, na mrisha eva syat. The desire of a devotee cannot be frustrated. Similarly, Gajendra, by the time Vishnu appeared before him, he had given up his desire to continue his life, to be rescued from the crocodile. In fact, he was saying, let me die. I don't want to continue in this life. I don't want to be rescued. He did not want liberation also. Still, Vishnu, when he appeared, he liberated him. Namrisha eva syat. Shukadeva Goswami was interested in moksha. He was getting interested in liberation. But then when he studied the Srimad Bhagavatam from his illustrious father, Vyasadeva, he gave up his desire for moksha. But still, the Supreme Lord liberated him. Namrisha eva syat. So, somehow or the other, if a devotee desires something and he approaches Krishna for that, understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as long as those desires are not detrimental, they are not against the principles of devotional service, Krishna will definitely fulfill them. This is Krishna's, this is Lord Vishnu's assurance here to Kardama Muni. Although the Supreme Lord Vishnu guarantees the satisfaction of a devotee's desire, a devotee very well understands that satisfaction of one's desires is not the ultimate benefit that one can achieve by rendering devotional service to Krishna. Just like we can see here, Kardama Muni also, after worshipping Vishnu for 10,000 years, and when Vishnu appeared before him, what did he say? He submitted his prayers to Vishnu saying that I am so foolish, I am worshipping you for some material gain. What to do? I am so attached to this material desire of mine. That means Kardama Muni knew, although he was worshipping Vishnu with a material desire in his heart, He knew that it is a very insignificant thing to ask from the Supreme Lord. There is a wonderful pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this regard. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advented, when he incarnated, he being the Supreme Lord Krishna himself, being non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when he descended, all the various devotees, devatas, his various kinds of associates, his parshads, his confidential eternal associates, all of them descended along with him. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, the Pandavas also came. And Pandu also came. Pandu took birth as Bhavanandaraya. And the Pandavas appeared as his sons. The 5 sons of Bhavanandaraya, who are none other than the Pandavas, were Ramanandaraya, Gopinatha Pattanayaka, Kalanidhi, Sudhanidhi, and Vaninatharaya. These 5 were the sons. They were the Pandavas who had come to participate in the Leelas of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. These 5 sons of Bhavanandaraya, they were all in the administrative posts in the government of Prataparudra, Maharaj Prataparudra, who was ruling over Odisha and parts of Andhra Pradesh at that time. Very powerful king he was. Ramanandaraya had served as the governor of Vidyanagara. He had become a governor. He had been elevated to that post. Later on, of course, we all know Ramanandaraya gave up that post. He retired and he came and joined Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wanted to be full-time with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. And when he approached the king, Maharaj Prataparudra, and submitted before him his request, Prataparudra very happily gave him the consent, because Prataparudra himself was a great devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The other 4 brothers of Ramanandaraya were all district collectors. District collectors means they were given charge of one district, and they had to collect the taxes from the people in that district, and they would have to submit to the treasury of the king. This used to be the system. All these brothers were collectors. They were all in very good post. Once it so happened that Gopinatha Pattanayaka, one of the 5 brothers, he was also a district collector, and when the accounts were reconciled about how much tax had been collected and how much had been submitted to the treasury, there was some discrepancy. There was some shortfall. In those days, it used to be in terms of conch shells. So some 200,000, 2 lakh kahanas of conch shells. That used to be the currency system at that time. Whatever that figure was, it was a substantial figure. 200,000 is not a small figure. There was a shortfall. When the king's his staff questioned Gopinatha Pattanayaka, where did this money go? What happened? So this Gopinatha Pattanayaka, he told, you see, currently I don't have that cash with me. I have spent it for something. So you can take some of my possessions, and whatever value is that, you reduce that much amount from the amount due. Whatever balance is there, I will repay it over a period of time. So the king immediately called his son, his eldest son, Purushottama Jana. He called his eldest son and he told him, because his eldest son, now what happened was, this Gopinath Pattanayaka, his main possession, he had 12 horses. These were steeds. They were horses of very high quality, which would fetch very good value. So he told the king, I have these 12 horses, you take them, you value them, and reduce that much amount from the 200,000, whatever, kahanas or whatever had to be paid. Now the king called Purushottama Jana because Purushottama Jana was expert in assessing the value of horses. And the king called Purushottama Jana and he told him, you go with Gopinath Pattanayaka, assess the value of the horses, and then you tell whatever is the figure, we'll adjust against whatever he has to pay. The Purushottama Jana went with Gopinath Pattanayaka, and when he assessed the value of the horses, purposely he reduced the value of the horses. Knowingly he told a lesser value. So the value he told was so less that Gopinath Pattanayaka became angry. And he started criticizing Purushottama Jana. So this Purushottama Jana, he had a unique characteristic. He had an idiosyncrasy. Every now and then he will raise his neck and then look like this and like this. He will shake his head like this. Yeah, that used to be, some trait. Everybody has some idiosyncrasies. He had that trait. It used to look a little funny, but then he was the prince, the king's son, so nobody would say anything. Gopinath Pattanayaka, he criticized Purushottama Jana saying, my horses don't look at the sky and they don't keep turning their heads left and right, so you cannot reduce the price of theirs. You have to give the proper price for them. This was a personal insult to the Rajakumara, to the prince. Naturally, he became very wild. This fellow is personally insulting me. I'll show him what I am. So what did this Purushottama Jana do? He went to his father. He went to the king, Prataparudra, and he told him, see, this Gopinath Pattanayaka, he is not willing to give money. And he is simply cheating us. His intention is to siphon off all the money. So I am requesting you the permission. I want to frighten him a little bit. I'll put him on the changa and I'll frighten him and take out the money. So what is this changa? Changa used to be, those days, elevated platform would be made in wood. And any criminals are there, they would be taken on top of the changa. Below the changa, there would be swords fixed into the earth. They'd be fixed and pointing upwards. And the criminal would be pushed from the changa onto the swords and he would be killed. This used to be the punishment meted out to criminals who would get death punishment. The king, he said, you use whatever means you want, somehow or the other, get the money and fill the treasury, close the matter. Don't extend it too much. Like that, the king told and he dismissed him. The king was not considering it too very seriously. He said, do anything, whatever you want, you do and get the money and close it. So like that he told. So Purushottama Jana, he became happy. Now I'll show this Gopinath what I am. And he went and he told the soldiers all captured Gopinath Pattanayaka and they started taking him to the changa. Now, all the sons of Bhavananda Raya and Bhavananda Raya himself, they were all very dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This news started spreading everywhere that Gopinatha Pattanayaka has been condemned to be taken to the changa and killed. Immediately, some of the people who heard the news, they ran to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they told him, Mahaprabhu, the king has ordered this Gopinatha Pattanayaka to be taken on the changa and killed. Only you can save him now. Please do something. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked them, what happened? Why did the king order that he should be put on the changa? Why should he kill him? So then they told him the whole incident, what had actually transpired, that he was due to give them some money, to give the king some money, but he had not paid and all that. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, he became very angry. He said, the king has to exact his taxes. Gopinatha Pattanayaka is his paid servant. He should do his job, he should collect the money and put it into the treasury. Whatever money he has left with him, with that he can spend and do whatever he wants. He wants to go and see some women dancing, he wants to spend on them, whatever he wants he can do. Why is he spending the government money and doing like this? If he does like this, naturally the king will punish him. What is wrong in what the king is doing? Nothing wrong in what the king is doing. I cannot do anything. So the people became despondent. Oh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has refused to help him. Now the news reached the other devotees, Swarup Damodar Goswami and the others. They all immediately came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have heard that the Gopinath Pattanayaka is going to be killed on the Changa. Please do something. Bhavananda Rai and all his sons are very dear to you. Please do something. No. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became even more angry. He said, what do you want me to do? You want me to go in front of the king with my cloth spread like this and beg him? Am I a beggar? That I have to go and ask the king for all these material things? I cannot do all these things. I am a sannyasi. And even if I go and beg to someone, what can I beg? I cannot beg for 200,000 kanas and all this kind of stuff. As a sannyasi, I can ask for some small amount of this one. I cannot ask for 200,000 kanas and all these kind of things. It is all against the principles of sannyasa. I cannot do all these things. So by then, one more messenger came running to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he said, the king's soldiers have arrested Vaninatha Raya also. And they have taken him also. And they are going to punish him also. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't say anything. He was quiet. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked this messenger, so then you tell me, what is Vaninatha Raya doing? Because Vaninatha Raya, he did not do anything. It was his brother who misappropriated the funds. So the messenger told him, Vaninatha Raya is constantly, incessantly, without stoppage, he is chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And he is counting on his fingers, on both hands of his fingers, he is counting every mantra he is chanting. And every time he finishes 1,000 Hare Krishna Maha Mantras, he makes a mark on his body. He is keeping track of how much he is chanting. He is not bothered about anything else. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, he was very happy. That, Vaninatha Raya is constantly chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra without being disturbed, without being perturbed by the situation. By that time, what happened? One of the servants of the king, by name Harichandan Patra. This Harichandan Patra, he saw what was happening and he ran to the king. He went to Maharaj Prataparudra and he told Maharaj Prataparudra, Maharaj, why are you doing like this? After all, Gopinath Pattanayaka is your loyal servant. He has not done any treason or anything like that. Some money he misappropriated, okay. Now if you kill him, that money also will not come. What is the use of killing him? You want money only, no. There are better ways of getting that out. If you kill him, that money will also go. So you are only losing. So I don't think it's a good thing to punish your servant like this. After all, he is very loyal and dear to you. The king was surprised because for the first time he was hearing that Gopinath was going to be killed. He had thought Purushottam Jana is going to scare him and then take out the money. That's all. So he said, no. Why should Gopinath be killed? I don't want to take his life. I just want the money to be returned. That's all. And why Purushottam Jana is doing all this? Please go and tell him, I have ordered, he should not kill him. He only needs to do whatever is required to take out the money. That's all. Don't kill him. So Harichandan Patra immediately went back and told Purushottam Jana that the king has told like this, so please don't do this. So then immediately Purushottam Jana, king has told he cannot do anything. He brought down Gopinath Pattanayaka from the Changa. And then the king called Gopinath Pattanayaka and Purushottam Jana, and he told them, see, Gopinath, whatever money has to be repaid, you please repay, and Purushottam, please make a proper valuation of the horses, and then you settle the matter. So Purushottam Jana also then, he also cooled down, and then he evaluated the horses properly, and a final figure was settled, and it was also settled in how much time the balance amount of money will be repaid. So the matter was settled amicably. Another messenger came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and told him, like this has happened, and the matter has been solved. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept quiet. Then after some time, Kashi Mishra, one of the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came to visit Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was looking a little disturbed. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him that, I don't want to stay in Jagannath Puri, I'm going to go to Alalnath. So Kashi Mishra said, Mahaprabhu, what happened? Why are you saying you want to go to Alalnath? Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, he related the whole incident of Gopinath Pattanayaka, and he said, I took up sannyas and I came to Jagannath Puri to peacefully execute my devotional service. Now everybody is coming and bringing their material problems. I have to solve the material problems of others. This is why I have taken sannyas. This is why I came to Jagannath Puri. I don't want to be solving all the material problems. Something Gopinath goes and does some, he siphons off some funds. He does some financial misappropriation. I have to solve his problem, is it? I don't want to be involved in all this. I want to go to Alalnath. Then Kashi Mishra told him, no, Mahaprabhu, please don't think like that. Gopinath Pattanayaka did not send all those people to you, seeking you to all those messengers who came. They were not sent by Gopinath Pattanayaka. Gopinath Pattanayaka is a pure devotee. He was ready to accept whatever distress was coming to his fate without asking you to relieve him from it. It so happened because everybody knows that he is very dear to you. When they saw that, they came and informed you. That's all. So please don't worry about that. Gopinath Pattanayaka will not further trouble you. I will ensure that people will not come to you with their material troubles anymore. Please don't go away from Jagannath Puri. And you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if you want that Gopinath should be protected, then in future also, Jagannath will protect him. So you don't have to worry. Jagannath is the Lord of the whole universe. So even if it commits similar kind of sinful activity again, the Lord will protect him. Don't worry. So like this, Kashi Mishra, he pacified Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Kashi Mishra went back to his home. Now King Prataparudra, every day he had a practice. He would go to Kashi Mishra's house because this Kashi Mishra used to oversee the administrative affairs, the management of the Jagannath temple, Puri temple. Every day he would go, Prataparudra would go to Kashi Mishra's house, he would massage Kashi Mishra's feet, and then he would ask him, how is the worship of Jagannath going? Are all the arrangements proper? Is there any issues to be solved? Every day he would do this. That day also Prataparudra came to Kashi Mishra's house and he massaged Kashi Mishra's feet. When he was massaging Kashi Mishra's feet, Kashi Mishra told Prataparudra, there is one news. Have you heard about that? He said, what news? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is leaving Jagannath Puri and going to Alalnath. So Prataparudra said, why? What happened? Because Maharaj Prataparudra was a great devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he did not want Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to go anywhere else. So he said, why? What happened? Why is Mahaprabhu going? So then Kashi Mishra told him, you see, what happened was this Gopinath Pattanayaka, you punished him to go on the Changa. That news came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu got very upset by that. And so Mahaprabhu has decided that he wants to go away. He doesn't want to be troubled by all this kind of news. So then Maharaj Prataparudra said, oh, is that so? You please go and tell Mahaprabhu not to be troubled. I will immediately, whatever money that this Gopinath Pattanayaka has to give, I will discount that. I will not take it from him. I don't want it. So let Mahaprabhu be assured that Gopinath Pattanayaka will not be disturbed. So then Kashi Mishra told him, no. Mahaprabhu does not want that you don't take back whatever money is due to you. Whatever is due to the government, you should take. Mahaprabhu did not ask for this. Maharaj Prataparudra said, no, I am not doing this because Mahaprabhu asked, not like that. I am doing this because anyway Gopinath is very dear to me and I don't want Gopinath to be in any trouble because he is very dear to Mahaprabhu. So you please go and tell Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that I have decided like this without giving any indication that this is because I heard that Mahaprabhu is going to go to Alalnath. So then Maharaj Prataparudra went back and then he again called Gopinath Pattanayaka. And he called him and told, see, you are very dear to me and you and Ramananda Rai, you are all, like my brothers only, you are all like my relatives. So I am excusing you from whatever money you have to pay to the treasury. From now on, I will double your salary so that you don't have to misappropriate the funds coming for the treasury. And, I also give back the district to you for collection of all the taxes. So you please continue as the district collector, and I am giving you double salary also. And then he gave a silken cloth, and as a matter of respect to Gopinath Pattanayaka, and he said, I am reinstating you as the collector of the district wherever you are. So like this, Maharaj Prataparudra informed Gopinath Pattanayaka, and he told him, you please go inform Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and take his blessings. So Gopinath Pattanayaka came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in the meantime Kashi Mishra went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and told him that like this I have spoken to Maharaj Prataparudra, and Prataparudra told like this. Mahaprabhu got upset. He said, you used my name to take to get a favor for Gopinath Pattanayaka from the king? Is this how you do things? Now you have made me obliged to the king. You should not have used my name like this. Then Kashi Mishra told, no, Mahaprabhu, not like that. I did not, I told, the Maharaj Prataparudra told very specifically, please tell Mahaprabhu that I am excusing Gopinath Pattanayaka not because of Mahaprabhu, but because of my personal relation with Gopinath, I am releasing him. So please, so Mahaprabhu, it's not because you told that he is releasing, it is because out of his own volition he is doing it. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was also pacified. And then Gopinath Pattanayaka came along with Bhavananda Raya and his other brothers, and they came and fell. Vaninatha Raya and all these people, they came and fell at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. And Bhavananda Raya told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, oh Mahaprabhu, you have saved our whole family from a great disaster today. And so you have purchased us by your mercy. And then Gopinath Pattanayaka, he prayed to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, Mahaprabhu, you see, when I was taken on the Changa, I was constantly remembering your lotus feet. I did not know what else to do. I only remembered your lotus feet. And simply by remembering your lotus feet, I, who was supposed to be put on the Changa and killed, instead, I ended up with double my salary, being reinstated in my post, and being honored by the king himself. So, this is the glory of remembering your lotus feet. Simply by remembering your lotus feet, this much has been achieved. And then he said one more thing, Gopinath Pattanayaka. He said, actually, all these things, these material benedictions that have come to me, saving my life, reinstating me as the collector, giving me double salary, getting respect from the King Prataparudra, these are all not the real glory of your lotus feet. Actually, I have not received the mercy of your lotus feet. Ramananda Raya and Vaninatha Raya have received your mercy. Why? Because they don't have any material desires. They are completely renounced. I am still not yet so renounced. I am still so much attached to my family and material things. So I am requesting you, Mahaprabhu, please, you give me the real mercy of your lotus feet. And like this, Gopinath Pattanayaka prayed to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu also became very pleased with him. So, from this we can see how this pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Acharyas have stated that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not want, he did not desire, he did not specifically desire that Gopinath Pattanayaka should be relieved from his distressful condition, from his dangerous position. So then how did Gopinath Pattanayaka get relieved? Simply because people came and informed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got a little disturbed. Because of that, immediately Gopinath Pattanayaka was released, and so much respect and opulence was bestowed upon him again. So this is a drop of the Lord's mercy. So imagine if the Lord's real mercy is given to a person, what will happen to him? So the real mercy of the Supreme Lord is explained by Srimati Radharani herself in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, what is famously known as the Brahmara Gita. So there, Radharani, she in her conversation with the bumblebee, she says, Yad anucharita leela karna piyusha viprut sakrit adana vidhuta dvandva dharma vinashtaha. Somebody, if he hears, if even a drop of the nectar of hearing the Leela of Krishna. Eda anucharita Leela karna piyusha viprut. Piyusha means nectar, amrita. Viprut means one drop of the amrita. One drop of the amrita of what? Anucharita Leela, of the pastimes of Krishna. If they enter the karna, if they enter the ear of anyone, what is the real result of such devotional service to Krishna? What is the result of hearing the glorious, wonderful, nectarian pastimes of Krishna? Even a drop of that nectar of Krishna's pastime, if it enters the ears of a person, what happens? Sakrit, even once he hears of the pastimes of Krishna, then what happens? Sakrit adana vidhuta dvanda. Vidhuta dvandva, all the dualities of this material world, attachment and distress and all kinds of desires for sense gratification that a person may have, vidhuta, his heart is completely cleansed of all of them. And not only that, dharma vinashtaha, all the four principles of dharma, artha, kama, moksha, all the four purusharthas will get destroyed in his life. He will no more be interested in dharma, artha, kama, moksha. All these four things will be, their importance in one's life will be destroyed. And it doesn't stop there. Further, what happens? Sapadi griha kutumba deenam utsrajya deena bahavo iha vihanga bhikshucharyam charanti. So Radharani is saying many people like this. It's not that it has happened only to me. Radharani is saying this is not only my experience. This has happened with bahavaha, many people. Whoever came in touch with even a drop of the pastimes of Krishna, not only did they give up all their affection for the material world, for their attachment to their families, to money, to their position, to their status in life, and to sense gratification. They gave up all these things. They gave up dharma, artha, kama, moksha, all these things. And not only this, sapadi griha kutumbam, even to their house and to their family, deenam, it became miserable to them. One's own family and one's own house is the dearmost thing. The strongest attachment to a person is to his house and to his family. No other attachment can be stronger than this. To one's wife, children, parents, etc. No other attachment can be stronger than that. As they say in English, blood is thicker than water. So the attachment towards one's house and to one's family members is very strong. But to a person who has achieved even a drop of the nectar of Krishna's pastimes, for him, sapadi griha kutumbam deenam, such household life and such relatives become totally miserable. He does not want to stay with them anymore. All his attachment to his family gets destroyed. And sapadi, immediately, utsrajya deena, such people, immediately they give up their families, they give up their homes, and what do? If somebody gives up his home and family, what will he do? Vihanga iha, just like a bird which has no residence, they become bhikshucharyam charanti. They become mendicants and they roam here and there without any fixed residence. In this material world, for a person, everyone wants a fixed place of residence. And one wants to earn money, develop one's circle of friends, relatives, and improve one's position and status in the society. These are all the desirable things for a person in life. But for a person who has heard even a drop of nectar of Krishna's pastimes in his ears, for him, all these things have no value. And when these things don't hold value in one's life, why should one run after earning money, making a house, and staying in one place? He becomes totally free. Like a bird, he wanders aimlessly everywhere, and he is immersed in the nectar of the pastimes of Krishna. He is no more attracted to this material world. This is the real result of rendering devotional service to Krishna. Forget about serving Krishna in full. Piyusha Viprut, even a drop of that devotional service, if one has done properly, if one has received a drop of the pastimes of Krishna from the lips of a pure devotee, then that person will no longer be able to maintain his attachment to his family, to his relatives, to his house, to one's wealth, to whatever position one has acquired in society, respect, prestige, all these things will simply go out of one's life. So much so that even moksha becomes tuchha for that person. This is the real result of rendering devotional service to Krishna. And so therefore, an intelligent person will never worship Krishna for some temporary material benefits, to solve one's distress, to solve one's problem of money, to solve one's problem of some disease, old age, etc. An intelligent person will not approach Krishna. Only a foolish person will approach Krishna for this. Only a foolish person thinks that if I chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and render service to Krishna, my financial problem will be solved. Financial problem, if you want to solve, you go to some CA. He will be better equipped to solve your problem. If you have some disease problem, there are so many multi-speciality hospitals. You go to some specialized doctor, he will help you out better. If you have some legal problem you want to solve, go to some advocate, he will help you out better. So, if you really want the highest benefit, which is to become free from all kinds of attachment in this material world, then you come to Krishna. That is the real benefit of coming to Krishna. Although, of course, it is not forbidden. If somebody approaches Krishna with some material motive, Krishna will entertain him also. But that's not the sign of intelligence. Only a foolish person will approach Krishna for some material benefit, because anyway all these material benefits are temporary. One day or the other we have to die and leave behind all this and go. All our puja, pratishtha, labha, everything we have to leave behind and go. So what is the point in worshipping Krishna for this? Worship Krishna for an eternal benefit, which is to develop love and attraction for Krishna and Krishna's pastimes, by which one can go back to the spiritual world, never to again take birth and death within this material world. That is the real benefit that one can achieve. So, Krishna is so merciful that even though a devotee may approach him with some material desire, Krishna will definitely fulfill it, as long as it is not against the principles of devotional service. But a devotee will never take advantage of that, of this characteristic of Krishna. Diyamanam api na grinnanti. Even if Krishna personally comes and gives moksha to a devotee, devotee will say, I don't want. So this is a true devotee, and we should understand the true expected standard of a devotee, and we should never ask Krishna for anything, not even for liberation. This is what we can understand from today's words. If there are any questions or comments, we can discuss. Yes, please.
Bro, in our own lives, we have seen even before coming in touch with Prabhupada or coming in touch with ISKCON or devotees, we ourselves, if we ask why we worship God, we would have said to be happy. Some material motives were there. So anyhow, people they're not in touch with Prabhupada, they don't know anything.
Yeah.
So anyhow, they foolishly come and ask. So anyhow, somehow or other, if they touch Krishna, in some period of time, they will also get purified.
Yes.
So why?
As long as their desires are not against the principles of devotional service, eventually what Krishna sees is, this foolish fellow is coming and asking me for poison, for the poison of material entanglement. Why should I give him poison? Krishna will satisfy his desire also, but he will act in such a way that that person's desire for that particular object will also go away. Just like we have seen in the example of Dhruva Maharaj or Gajendra or Sukadeva Goswami, all of them, they approach Krishna with some material desire. But then, once they achieved the mercy of Krishna, they forgot all those things. So that is the real advantage of receiving the mercy of Krishna. But then, of course, for that, a person has to have enough sukriti. He should come in touch with a pure devotee. So many conditions need to be fulfilled. Otherwise, so many people are there. They are worshipping Krishna for some material motive. They also go to the temple, they worship and all those kind of things. So many people go to Tirupati Balaji. They will say, if you if my profit increases, then I'll make you 3% share, I'll give to you. So all that people do. So Balaji reciprocates with them also. But ultimately, the real mercy of Balaji or Krishna, if one has to receive, then one has to develop detachment from all these things. So it may take several lifetimes for a person to reach there. It may not happen within a lifetime. That is the whole point. On the other hand, if we render devotional service to Krishna without expecting anything in return, then our progress is very quick, very rapid and immediate. Within this very lifetime, we can go back to Godhead. Just like we saw in the case of Gajendra, in the case of Dhruva Maharaj, in the case of Shukadeva Goswami, all of them went back to Godhead within the same lifetime. Because they gave up their material desires and continued to serve Krishna without any material motive. That's the lesson that we have to take. We'll stop here. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.